A political group, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, has defended the petrol price increase by the federal government, saying the Nigerian Labour Congress is not fighting for the national interest. At a media briefing in Abuja, the group's chairman, Niyi, Akinsiju, accused the NLC of exhibiting a doomsday disposition. He called on the NLC and all Nigerians to eschew the traditional resistance to market-determined prices. According to him, the labor movement should be concerned with driving the vision of making Nigeria the dominant refining hub in Africa, driven by the private sector. Akinsiju says the labor movement should also be focused on compelling the federal government to speedily roll out the adoption of compressed natural gas, an energy source that has been confirmed to be cleaner, vehicle-friendly and cheaper than petrol.
The subsidy and we, as a people, have become economic Siamese twins. Every move by the government to stop its application since 1988 has been received with uproar and outrage. Despite the material changes in the economic dynamics that informed the policy in the first place. This latest furor over fuel price increase is typical of other times. The Nigerian Labour Congress has taken its traditional front role and as always pointing fingers at the federal government for being responsible for the latest price increase. However, as a body of analysts, we submit that all this trouble mongering should stop. Surprisingly, the NLC is exhibiting a doomsday disposition in this matter. We therefore call on the NLC and indeed all Nigerians to eschew this traditional resistance to market-determined pricings.
Let's bring in the chairman of the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, Niyi Akinsiju. You just saw him there, taking a swipe at the Nigerian Labour Congress. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm trying to, wrap my mind around the statements that that's come out, from your end. Why are you saying that the NLC is really not fighting for Nigerians?
Yeah,
many would argue with you on that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, the truth of the matter is the NLC had made the subsidy a very, very unpopular issue. That's removal of subsidy. But for us, we are talking of a 51-year-old model, economic model, when subsidy was introduced in 1973 precisely. It was as a result of the Yom Kippur War, which had made prices of crude oil to skyrocket. A barrel of crude oil was $2.9. Within 7-8 months, it skyrocketed to $11.4, and that was huge money then. Yes. And the cost increase, the price increase, started reflecting on the liter of products. Yeah,
we know the history of how subsidy came to be.
So now
in 2012, you say a 51-year-old problem.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have gotten to this if in 2012 the chief executive today, the leader of this government, he led a protest against the removal, any attempt to remove subsidy. What exactly has changed?
Because
we wouldn't have been here.
Because at that time we were making so much money from crude oil. I wanted to establish the fact of the subsidy itself. The subsidy in 1973 was introduced because we had petrodollars. We were making a huge kill, on the increase, on the astronomical increase in the price of a barrel of crude oil. So that was so much money. And so it's just like taking a small proportion of that as a cushion, for the people.
Yeah.
That was the reason. Now in 2012, a barrel of crude oil between 2011 and 2014 averaged $100. And we're doing more than $2.3 million. 2.3 million barrels a day.
Yeah, but that government saw ahead and thought it wise to remove subsidy at the time, 2012. But the opposition would have none of it because we don't have that much time.
Yes,
now, there's been we're looking at the state of the nation.
Yeah.
You say that this government is not responsible for fuel price increase. If this government is not, who is or what is responsible?
We have the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, had clearly defined who is responsible for price modulation, for price determination, as it were. It's no longer the government's business. And the PIA is a law that went through the process of lawmaking. And when it goes through the process of lawmaking, it means that all Nigerians subscribed to it.
Bought into it, yeah.
You know, and so to that
But for a
extent,
developing economy like ours, many experts would say subsidy is, whether in petrol, electricity, or even agriculture, there must be some kind of subsidy to cushion the effects of some of the economic policies of government.
That's subsidy. We are canvassing for education to be subsidized, for health to be subsidized, for agriculture to be subsidized, for certain aspects in manufacturing to be subsidized, not consumption. We are saying actually that the rate at which we sell our petroleum products under the market price is actually enjoyed by the elites who have capacity.
Yeah, that's an argument that's been made over and over again.
Yes.
But can this economy really afford to allow the forces of demand and supply to determine
at this time it has become important.
Pump?
In 2022, we borrowed 1 trillion naira to subsidize, the consumption of petroleum. Now, when you do that, it's no longer economy.
Yeah, we remove subsidy, but we're still borrowing. We're still borrowing.
The threshold of borrowing.
Still going to questionable areas.
The threshold of borrowing had reduced now vastly. It has reduced from 108. In first quarter 2024, from 108 to less than 92 billion. So if we are borrowing dollars, yes, that's in dollar terms.
It's not billion naira, which is still a lot. Now, very quickly, Nigerians are saying, look, we're hungry, we're starving because of the impact of the removal of subsidy. They went on the streets on 1st of August, a 10-day protest saying, listen to us, can you come up with measures that can ease this pain? But the Nigerian government seemed to have pushed back on the protesters, actually called them treasonable felons, at least alleging treason.
Yeah, I don't know.
People are looking at it and saying, is this even good for democracy? That the same beneficiaries of protests in the past seem not to tolerate protests today.
Well, I think what characterized what we call protests, the August 1 protest, what characterized it was more violence. And of course, we are not security experts. If the security agencies had also not tracked a number of people to have deliberately incited a certain, quarters of the population, and had actually deliberately also funded it. And
Who deliberately funded?
The security agencies had come out with the fact that a number of people had been tracked, their accounts had been tracked to have been used to fund violence, not even mobilization, to fund violence during this so-called protest. Now, we cannot describe that as protest. It's more or less a meme determinedly unleashed on the space.
It seems to be
and no government would embrace that.
A lot of thoroughness on the part of government and her agencies. And people are saying, look, why not apply the same kind of passion, to fish out terrorists in the northeast, in the northwest?
Are they not?
Are
they not? You have the chief of defense staff. There's some minutes ago, it was talking of how many arrests. Of course there are social situations, social context that we can start arguing this on. But the truth of the matter is, every day in the newspaper, on your own channels and all that, we hear reports of arrests being made, and we also hear reports of how the agencies, the military security agencies, are coming up with strategies to contain the terrorism.
Niyi Akinsiju, Chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative, we'll have to bring you back again. Thank you very much for your time and music.